All right. What's up, brother? We're live.
What's up, man?
So, look, I'm going to start this out really quickly. But do you know, like, history will be made today, of course, on the show. But that happens every week. But history, like in the basketball, NCAA, like, you know, Duke and Carolina they've never played each other in the Final Four, ever. Right? It's Coach K's last game if they lose. And so they play today. And so this is a big deal because Coach K's been around forever. And I know that's not what the show's about, but it's a pretty big deal.
Kind of big deal.
Anyway. Yeah. You don't give a shit. You're like, whatever.
Well, who's your team? You're a UNC, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And isn't it crazy? Both of those teams are like literally in my backyard.
Yeah.
Both of them. They're unbelievable. So let's dive into it. Let's dive into today's topic. So talking about prospecting, you know, if you want, actually really quickly, I want to share, it's one of the struggles that I've gone through with that. You know, I have my regular sales CEO syndicate program, which was my 90-day program. And then, as you know, I've been trying to launch this a lower level program, I guess you would call it, a more financially feasible program for people to join. It's a little bit different format. But you know, over time, you're going to get the same amount of information. The difference is the time, right? And so here's been my struggle. You know, I haven't been able to haven't found the right funnel people, but in getting all the back end stuff set up. And so that's really been holding me back. The reality is that's not really holding me back. Technically, it's not holding me back, right? I can still start. Right. And so I did. So
Tony Robbins did it in late night television and cassette tapes. You can do it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I've opened it up, but still we're having a little bit of difficulties because, you know, links, how to give people links and so on and so forth. So it's a work in progress. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's what I just wanted to share that story because I think some people think, you know, maybe people like us don't struggle, but it's just not true.
Oh man, anytime you're going to raise to another level of elevation, right? There's going to be a struggle to it. That's why you want it.
That's it.
Yeah. If it was easy, you'd already have it. You wouldn't strive for it. You wouldn't be on your goals. It wouldn't be on your map, right? You wouldn't even see, you know, you don't put on your goal, I'm going to breathe 1,000 times today, something like that. It's just natural. It happens, right?
Right. That's right. You know, I'll tell you something interesting I heard yesterday. You probably have heard this, but the analogy was, you know, an alligator is pretty dangerous, right? I wouldn't want to fuck with alligator, but you could kill an alligator. And the way that you could personally kill an alligator is right after they eat, because they almost go into that theta state after they eat. And so they're full, right? They're not hungry anymore. So they're chilling, right? And that's when they get fucked up. Same thing in life. It's the same thing in business. It's exactly the same. If you get too, I guess if you get too, what's the word I'm looking for? Comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, comfortable, complacent.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it leads to not good places. Let's just say that. Right? I mean, yeah.
Well, you're certainly not going to go put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and start prospecting. Like you're gonna open up the door and tell us some of the the techniques and the secrets, right, in prospecting. Dude, I don't think most people even prospect. I think that they're just sitting at their desk waiting for something to happen. They're passengers in their own life. They're passengers in their business. They're passive, right? Passive. They are waiting for something to happen, and amazing things do happen. Because of the sheer statistical nature of life, right? 1 in 1,000 chance means that once in every 3 years, you're going to have a big opportunity flip through your doors. Now, I don't want to wait 3 years, Corey, and not know which day it's going to be. I want to be a little bit a master of my own destiny. I can't control the universe, but I can control my own actions. So what can we do to maybe take a little bit more control out of our prospecting?
I think awareness is a big part of it, right? I think that being aware of who you're looking for, right? Who is your prospect? Do you know who that person is? Do you know where they are? Do you know what the fuck they're doing? Are they, is it really your prospect? I mean, these are all questions you've got to ask yourself, because if you don't, well, then who the hell are you trying to sell your stuff to? If you don't know, right? If you don't know who you're supposed to be talking to, if you don't know where they hang out, how are you going to sell them your shit?
Oh yeah. And I mean, we talked last week about what problem you actually solve. And I think that's a big piece of that thing too. But and here's something interesting. I'll throw this in there. It kind of has to do with messaging. It has to do with prospecting. Is you think of how well does that group of people even know you, right? So if it's totally cold, they don't know you, they don't know your brand. Maybe you're the biggest badass in your town or your county or your state, or maybe in your tribe, right? We were offline, we were talking about this, is like everybody that we think in our entrepreneurship group are like the biggest influencers on earth. If I go and I talk to people in technology, in startups, in manufacturing, they've never heard of any of those people. Okay. So this is the thing, is that you can be the biggest influencer, and that's not a bad or a good thing. That is what it is. That's how life works. It's how everything works. So if they were to enter one of those new markets, they can't rely on their brand and say, I'm this person, I'm famous. Oh, I drive a Lambo. People are like, dude, I don't even care about Lambos. It's not even important to me. Right. So all of that social proof that they have, pretty much worthless, right? All the cool factors that they have, pretty much worthless. So because it's a very cold audience, it's out of alignment. But this is an extreme example. I just want to pull this, is that if you're prospecting for new opportunities, you're growing in life, going to a new location, maybe you're expanding your footprint of your business. Anything new, you can't rely on just your brand and sell people that you can solve their problems, that you can make their life better, because there's no trust built up there. So when you're dealing with a super cold audience and you're prospecting, Corey, people care about their own shit, care about their problems.
That's it.
Every cold audience on earth, this will work for them, is that if you talk about their problems, they'll pay attention. Their ears will prick up. Yep. And this is, dude, I see this with prospecting so much, as people are treating them like they're a warm audience, treating them like, if we're in one of our groups and we're saying, hey, here's what I can do for you, there's already a level of trust built up. So a little level of social proof. We're already in the same tribe, right? People might listen, but everybody will listen if you're like, you have this problem. They're like, yeah, I do. So I just want to throw that out there.
Well, yeah, because, and plus people, they want to tell you about the problems, but here's the thing. And this is what you absolutely don't want to do. You have to, it's just like, look, it's just like when you first met Tay, your wife, right? You didn't meet Tay and say, let's get married now, right? Because she'd have been like, fuck you, dude. You lost your mind, right? And that's what people do. They meet somebody, and I've been guilty of this. I have absolutely been guilty of this, because sometimes you just don't know how to gauge the situation, or maybe the emotion is, takes over. And with salespeople in particular, that happens a lot. And if you don't know how to control that shit, you'll outsell yourself. You'll sell yourself out of the deal. And what I mean by that is, it's just like these idiots who dive into your fucking DMs and they're like, buy my course. Like, that's never going to work. You might want to have 1,000, maybe, right? Not a good batting average. So you gotta warm people up. And that in prospecting, that means that you've got to talk about what they want to talk about. And you got to listen to what their problems are. And you got to see if you can solve them. And if you can solve them, then you should offer your services to them at a healthy price. If you can solve their problems, it's worth money to them. You got to figure out how much money that's worth to them.
So that's
by asking good questions.
Another piece of prospecting. I think that there's a easy way to confuse prospecting with outreach.
Yes.
Right. And outreach is, let's just say, the action. For me, as a business development person, I think of prospecting more like, I'm doing my research. I'm doing my market analysis. Maybe I am talking to a few people, but with the intention of figuring out, do I have brand alignment? Do I have product market fit? Do I have the right price? Do I have the right messaging? Am I set up properly to then be able to sell this product? Like, I want to test and try things a couple times, and then I want to set myself up for scale. I think of outreach as like the strategy at which I will then execute my prospecting. Right? Prospecting is like, oh, it's these kind of companies. These are the kind of problems that they have. So this is the kind of products and services, or how I should package and how I should discuss what I'm doing as a company. And outreach is like actually doing it, going to the trade shows, making the calls, like hitting people up on LinkedIn, whatever your strategy is, cold DMing people with goofy stuff about having your crypto MLM, whatever it is, whatever your strategy is, that's outreach. And we should talk about that more, because I think people freeze up. They stay in the strategy lane, the prospecting lane too much. And they're like, man, it would be really cool if I did business with this company. It would be really cool if I did business with this company. And they start making their lists, and they're thinking about stuff. And dude, they overthink. And
That's true.
yeah.
Well, but I want to give like maybe a slightly different comparison. Same exact thing as what you're saying, but like, let's just take somebody that maybe is a coach like myself, right? And if I'm getting on a call, this would be another part of prospecting. If I'm getting on a call with you, and you're getting on a call with me, you're getting on a call with me because you want to work with me, and I'm getting on a call with you because I think I can solve your problems. But I don't know that until I do research. I don't know that about you. I don't know about your company. I've got to find all that out, because if I don't, well, I look like a fucking moron when I show up on the call, right? And you're not going to close the deal because you didn't do your research. You didn't do your prospecting. And let's clarify, prospecting is not sending a bunch of cold emails. Let's just be clear about that.
No, that's such a good point. How many of the marketing calls that we've taken where somebody didn't know what I did at all?
Every one
of them, because they did. One of them. And if you type in my name into Google, how fast are you able to figure out what I do?
3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're like, you need to have more things written about you. Like, dude, I've been putting out content for forever, right? You can figure out, you can look at an article from 10 years ago. I've been doing the same thing forever. Okay. If you dig really deep, you can find I've been doing the same thing in my family forever, right? It's not hard to figure out, but these are just the most basic things. Is like, you just reach out and say, oh, I didn't know. Like, we had people say that I should start a podcast. All right. And I'm like, dude, I already have a podcast. You get 20,000 downloads a month, right? I mean, like, it's like one of the most popular podcasts about product in the world. You're like, you should go speak places. I'm like, dude, I've spoken at a dozen places. They're like, they're trying to sell me a solution, whatever the solution is in their hat. But like, what sounds better is like, hey, Callie, you should start getting paid to speak. And somebody say, dude, what if I could teach you how to get paid $5,000 to go speak an event? I told him, dude, that would be a total waste of my time. There's no way that I would speak anywhere unless it was like less than an hour drive away from my work. And probably if it was during the day, it would have to be a place that my customers were. Otherwise, there's no way that I would do that for $5,000. And it blew his mind. But if he just looked me up for 1 second, he could say, hey, I see that you've spoken at some great events. What if I could get you more of those speaking events right in your industry so it could fuel this business that you already have? But his pitch was like, it was going to blow my mind.
Right. But
what if you could get paid up to $5,000? Like, dude, that would be horrible. Like, I have a whole company to run. I can't leave for a whole day or 3 days and travel across the country and get paid $5,000 to speak. That would be insanely stupid.
But here's where he's messed up. Like, if he would have approached it the way you said to approach it, at least he would have gotten another conversation with you.
Yeah.
or a conversation with you,
Yeah.
rather. I just say
Yeah,
that, right?
exactly. And I'm not saying because like I get paid so much that I don't want to speak, unless it's for $100,000. I'm saying that I have stuff to do and I have spoken at places. It takes you a day to get there, day to get set up. You speak for 30 minutes. You got to go talk to everybody for hours and then you got to go home. So like best case, you're out 2 days, right? So for 2 days, I'll tell you that the impact to my business is far more than $5,000. So I would need to have a reason. Like, am I going to talk to people that could potentially be my customer? It could, what is the next thing that it's going to do? But that's not really my point. Is that he didn't know that I've spoken it anywhere, that I create any content, that what I talk about or anything. He was just selling this like what if, like opening a loop of possibilities, which really is something you do to a warm or a hot lead, not to a cold audience. And if you haven't done any prospecting to know what this person is, like that might seem like a lot of money to your other people, but it's not, because if you spoke every week at a place for $5,000, you can do the math. Like, between it is a pretty hard cap on how much you're going to be earning, your whole earning potential, right? And I can tell you that would be a very difficult life. You definitely get divorced. You'd be fat. You'd be depressed, but like you could do it, right? It'd be like going on a permanent rock tour. But my point is like prospecting. You talk about this all the time, and people are just so addicted to pushing down the throats, whatever the thing is that they want to sell, that they're not even thinking about the other person.
I wonder if it's because it just hit me. I wonder if it's because I know this is a lot of the reason, actually, now I think about it. When people are shoving now, let's just use the plumbing example, right? If people a technician goes to sell a hot water heater, and I'm sorry, a tankless water heater, but he was really not that familiar with it, right? He absolutely knows about hot water heaters because he puts 3 in a fucking day. The other one he's not so familiar with. And so I guess human nature, they always default to the thing they know. And what happens is now the company's losing money because the person's not confident enough in the product because the person didn't train them on the product well enough to know how to sell it, or didn't train them on how to sell it. One of the two. Either way, the leader failed the employee, right? And essentially he's losing money because of his own dumbass mistake.
Well, if they were doing the prospecting, they'd say, well, this is the kind of customer that we know. Okay, hey, Mr. Plumber, when you go into a situation that looks like this, that's our perfect candidate who would really get a ton of value out of the tankless water heater. So you don't have to be a salesperson. All I'm saying is that once it lines up and it looks like A, B, and C, like here's a scale of a bad to pretty good to really great fit. When it looks like a great fit, give them this brochure and then we'll close that deal. You just tell them like, hey, I'm not a salesperson, but I know that when I see somebody that has this, and this situation, they really would benefit and on the long term probably save money with the tankless water heater. I'm not a very good salesperson, but here's the materials for it. And like, I only say this because when it all matches up and lines up, that it's the right move, and you can go and you can call the office. They'll explain it better than me. Let me set that appointment for you, and like, if they've done the prospecting and they know exactly what that is, it doesn't have to be as weird. That guy doesn't even have to, Corey, he doesn't even have to be confident. He just is confident in the prospecting work that's been done. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And guess what? And let's just talk about really quickly the reason why what you just said worked. Because what you just did is, one, you took a shit ton of pressure off yourself because now you're not the salesperson. You verbally said, I'm not a good salesperson. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a good salesperson. I'm going to refer you to somebody that could talk to you more about it. But here's my opinion if you want it. And this is why, right? Yeah. It's such a soft lob. It's such a soft way of saying, like, I kind of don't give a shit if you take it or not. It's not really up to me, but at least you have the information, and it makes that person feel comfortable, and it makes you feel comfortable. And if everybody's comfortable in the situation, your chances of closing that deal probably goes up not probably. It does go up astronomically.
Yeah, because I also threw in an alignment piece, which is what I'm saying is structurally how you could do it as a company is that you only set it up so you're literally telling the client, hey, when I see factor 1, 2, and 3, in my experience, it's a good deal. It saves you money, makes a better experience, all whatever the factors are, right? And the person's more inclined to believe you because you're not a salesperson, and you're saying you're not a salesperson. You're just saying the honest piece. This is, I love these kind of questions because I saw this in one of our groups. People are like, here's this long drawn out my reasoning. He's like, I'm going to be honest with you. Here's my reasoning in this situation, and I need to explain this to this person. What should I do? It's like, what the answer is, say it just like you just said it. Honestly, openly. And when you approach things like that, it generally works. And so I know that somebody is, as a closer master or whatever, and they're listening to how I just said what my little script, and they're like, I wouldn't do it like that. I would do this clever trick and clever trick like that.
I would drop the hammer on them.
Yeah, you can look at my sales. My sales numbers are pretty good, but
this is how you sell. But here's the truth of it. This is the way you just did that. That is how you sell in 2022. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That is how you do it if you're effective. Period.
That's how I personally sell.
So do I. Yeah. I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm going to offer you what I have. If you want it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. I'm cool either way.
You're like, hey, I'm in this situation, and I'd be happy to just replace your hot water heater with basically the new equivalent of that. It comes with a 10-year warranty. That's not even from us. That's from the manufacturer. All parts are included. Labor's extra. We have this other type of warranty that integrates. That's just the normal deal. But I want to tell you, before you go ahead and get that hot water heater and you get the same situation as before, like, look, I could answer any question you want about plumbing, but I'm not a salesperson. I'm just saying that when I see this and I see this and I see this, I mean, you have a really nice house, right? It gets really cold here. You have a lot of bedrooms, right? If you've ever tried to run 4 showers in a row, you kind of like run out of hot water. And this looks like the kind of home that you might want to stay in forever. So I'm just looking at these factors, and this is kind of what we see and say, have you ever considered a tankless water heater? Because it's less maintenance. There's less chance of flooding, right? And this is such a nice house, but more importantly, you've got 6 bedrooms, right? People come home from the holidays. It's winter, it's Christmas, and like, you're not going to have any hot water Christmas morning for that shower, but you don't really have to worry about that ever with the tankless water heater, because there isn't a big vat of water sitting in your basement getting heated up by a candle. But I'm not like a salesperson. It's just, this is what I would have in my house. If I had such a nice house, I would put this in there just because it's just nicer. In general, it's cheaper. It's certainly faster, but here's our thing about this. That's just my
time. Yeah, just the time component. Now, I'm the facts are, if you don't have a tankless, which we don't have a tankless, right? It takes fucking forever for that damn shower. I mean, so you think about the amount of time that you waste just waiting on that damn shower. It's like 5 minutes, right? You do that times 365 days. If you shower every day, hopefully you do. That's a lot of time.
Look, I want people to go out there, and I want them to prospect with the intent to understand, right? And then prospect with the intent to replicate. So once you understand one of your customers, you can say, where can I find a bunch more of those people? Where can I do this over and over and over again? Start making my list of, they're not even leads at this point. It's just saying, hey, here's the neighborhoods, or here's the kind of companies, or here's the types of Facebook groups, or whatever it is. I want you to understand and then worry about replicating and scale. And we'll talk about automation and funnels and, outreach and building sales team. And we'll talk about all these things, but dude, people want to shortcut the basics. You don't get prospecting right. If you don't get the techniques that you talk about on your show, on this show, in your program, you can't automate a bad process. You just make a big mess. And I think this is where people are messed up. That's just my 2 cents here. I know that we gotta cut it short. Saturday, we got stuff to do. Gotta dominate today, but that's just my 2 cents.
No, that's good. And I just want to build on just one thing that you said about the understanding, or going out to understand, not to be understood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people get that shit mixed up, right? They will just tell you everything about themselves, and there's a time and place for that, but that's not the time and place, right? You're there to find out about other people, not for you to tell them about. And I'll say this last thing. I see people salespeople fall into this problem all the time. They'll find a commonality at the beginning of the call looking for rapport, and they stay on that fucking commonality for 35 minutes. And I'm like, dude, you got to cap that shit at 3. Anyway, so yeah, good show, dude. And let's rock and roll. Appreciate you guys. Join. You guys can go and click on that link. You can see what I have got set up, and the rest will be set up shortly. All right.